2024 has finally come to an end, and we got some pretty great games this year. Welcome to Bite Size Bunny, my name's Tony, and these are the top 10 best games of 2024, or at least my personal favorites from the year. For the record, I have not played every game that released in 2024, and I know I missed out on some great titles that I hope to get to at some point down the road, but without much further ado, let's get to it. Killer Clowns from Outer Space the Game is the latest asymmetrical multiplayer game from the studio IllFonic, who brought us the Friday the 13th video game. And I must admit, I was genuinely pleasantly surprised by this title. I have no personal connection to the Killer Clowns movie. I personally haven't seen the film yet, but I did love my time with IllFonic's Friday the 13th. And I'm always looking for a fun multiplayer experience to share with friends. While this game isn't perfect, it is an absolute joy to play, and it's really cool to see how far the studio has come. They made some really great decisions with this title that really help it from a quality of life perspective. I had a blast with this game. I spent a lot of summer nights playing it, and I even platinumed the game because of how much I enjoyed it. Space Marine 2 is a great cooperative experience. This game does such an excellent job at delivering with its gameplay that it keeps you wanting to come back and play it more and more. The combat isn't anything revolutionary or groundbreaking. It plays and controls like your typical third-person shooter, but how it feels is a totally different story. They knocked it out of the park with delivering on the Space Marine power fantasy. You feel like an overpowered tank that could take on swarms and swarms of enemies, yet you still feel mortal, and you could absolutely get your butt whooped at any moment if you're not playing carefully. This is such a fun game, and I really hope we get a third game or at least more Warhammer games in this vein. I mean this wholeheartedly. Tekken 8 may just be one of the best fighting games of all time. This is easily one of the most impressive fighting games I have ever played. You've got such a vast roster of characters, with each one having their own distinct personalities and playstyles. There is bound to be a character for everyone. It also feels so damn good. This game can be as complex or as simple as you want to make it. The amount of moves there are for you to learn with each character to really craft your own fighting style is nuts. It's absolutely stunning from an audio and visual standpoint as well. This might just be the best looking fighting game. The original Dead Rising is one of the best zombie games of all time, and it still holds up incredibly well to this day. Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster somehow managed to take that beloved title and make it even better. The quality of life changes made in this remaster are a genuine game changer. Every bit of this remaster feels like it was handled with nothing but love and care. This feels like a passion project. DRGR is the definitive version of Dead Rising. Even if it took some time to get used to the new Frank design, he still works really well here, and the new actor did a top-notch job. I'm honestly shocked that the Silent Hill 2 remake is as good as it was. Everything with the marketing leading up to this title's release was really working against it. There was just something about the game that looked off. But oh my lord, this has got to be one of the worst gaming experiences I've ever had, and I mean that in the best way possible. I can't remember the last time a video game, or really any piece of media, had me this on edge. This is a truly terrifying experience that just got under my skin. Atmospherically, it is so haunting and unnerving. This is a rough one to get through. But it was so worth it, especially with how interesting and well-crafted the story was. The original Overwatch was one of my favorite multiplayer games. I have so many fond memories with that title, and at launch it was a masterpiece from Blizzard. But then they kind of went and crapped the bed. The more they updated the game, the worse it got. Then we got Overwatch 2, which was supposed to fix things, take Overwatch back to its glory days, and give us an awesome story. But instead, it only got worse, and they didn't even deliver on the highly anticipated story mode. So for years, I've had this gaping hole in my heart left by Overwatch, and I have been wanting something new to come along and take its place. Fast forward to 2024, and the answer is finally here, as Marvel Rivals has perfectly filled that hole in my heart. The hefty roster of characters is so much fun to play around with. While there are heroes that feel familiar, they still feel fresh enough that it feels like you're getting a unique experience and not just a lazy copy and paste job of Overwatch. And I really hope this game continues to go strong and just succeeds. With the Marvel IP, there are literally hundreds upon hundreds of characters that they could add and implement into this game over the years. And I would really love to see how creative they get with some of their takes on these heroes and villains. Animal Well is a work of art. It is mind-blowing how brilliantly crafted this game is with its level design. From a gameplay standpoint, it is incredibly simple, but the world in this game left me awestruck. This is one of those games where I found myself really wanting to take my time with it to fully explore this world and really take in the artistry and every single detail from the developer. And the fact that this game is made entirely by one person, the incredibly talented Billy Basso, really makes this project even more awe-inspiring. I was a massive fan of the original Helldivers back on the PlayStation 4, so when Helldivers 2 was announced for the PS5, I can't even begin to express how excited I was for the upcoming sequel. But I wasn't expecting to be as blown away by this game as I was. The drastic jump from being a top-down shooter to this over-the-shoulder third-person shooter really is a massive game changer for the series. The combat is incredibly intense and perfectly captures the brutal, challenging nature of the first Helldivers so well, while still being one of the most fun games this year while providing hours of laughter. The satirical humor scattered throughout the game is really effective, and it gives this world such a distinct personality. You've got great customization, plenty of enemy variety, and so many items you can unlock that'll change the moment-to-moment gameplay. I really loved my time with this one, and it absolutely deserves all of the success it's gotten since release. This one really had a lot going against it for me. I'm not the biggest fan of Metroidvanias, and I haven't been a fan of Ubisoft for the last handful of years because of the number of stinkers they've been releasing, so Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown had a massive uphill battle for me. I had really low expectations for this one, so the fact that it was my game of the year for most of 2024 was one of my favorite surprises from the year. Initially, the story didn't hook me whatsoever during its opening hours, but as I progressed further and further through this game, I found myself getting more and more invested in this journey and wanting to see where it was going to go. The combat was immensely satisfying, and as you continue to unlock new abilities on your journey, it just progressively gets better and better until the very end. The boss fights were so much fun, and some of them are absolutely the highlights of the game. The map is beautifully designed and left me wanting to explore every room as thoroughly as possible to find all of the hidden routes and items. Back it all up with gorgeous visuals and a solid soundtrack, you've got one of the best Ubisoft games to date. Astrobot is not only my game of the year for 2024, but it might just be my new favorite platformer. This game is such a splendid experience that works beautifully as this love letter to the history of PlayStation and gaming as a whole. Every level is so colorful and full of life. The soundtrack is full of so many songs that will just get stuck in your head for days on end. This is one of the only PlayStation 5 games that feels like a truly next-gen experience, especially in the way it utilizes the DualSense controller and really highlights what it's capable of doing as far as delivering an immersive experience. This is one of those games I can see myself revisiting frequently throughout the upcoming years just to hop on for a little bit and get a nice little boost of serotonin. It's hard to play this game and not have a big old grin on my face. It is so charming and delightful, and I can't wait to see where they take this franchise next. And those are my top 10 games of 2024. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, and all that YouTube stuff. And what are your top 10 favorite games of 2024? I'd love to know.